Oh, hi, friends. You're back. Long time no see. Always happy to see familiar faces. And Christmas decorations are always fun too. Holiday decorations. How's everybody doing? Katja, you're not convincing me. Well, we're here with naturopathic doctor and yoga teacher and my special healer, Kerry Smith. And this is a relaxed back and forth conversation with you and her and me. And we're going to talk about ketosis. Kerry has got me into eating ketosis in a ketogenic way for the past year to support my health, particularly in my journey with Parkinson's. But let's hear from Kerry first, what got her started. I know her story, but I want her to share her story, her healing journey that has connected her to the process of ketosis.
Thanks, Cars. My healing journey started a long time ago when my body started exhibiting symptoms that have been labeled systemic lupus erythematosus. And that has led me into exploring all kinds of natural health and healing, not just for myself, but for other people, because I realized that there are so many people out there suffering, not just from autoimmunity, which is what lupus is, but also from just all kinds of things that block our ability to be who we truly are. And I wanted to figure this out. It has led me to study with all kinds of people all over the world, from all over the world. And I feel very blessed in all that I have gathered. And when we all were locked down for a while, I started looking into more and more of this whole ketosis piece that I found pretty fascinating, in that it is one of the three components of autophagy, which is the body's ability to clean itself, that actually won a Nobel Prize in 2017. But we aren't told about that, because we're never told about Nobel Prizes, because everybody wants to keep it hush hush in the scientific and pharmaceutical world, so that they can develop drugs to help us into this state, which is a state that can totally rejuvenate your whole body. It can rejuvenate your nervous system. It can rejuvenate your skin. It can rejuvenate your heart, your lungs, you name it. You can create stem cells when you get into this state and heal. Should be shouted from the rooftops, but of course it's not, because everybody's racing to get the patent on a drug that will put you into the state that you can get into through ketosis, along with sunshine and exercise. A lot of people get into ketosis as a diet, and they cruise along doing very well for a while, but they don't understand the other two components, and they don't understand exactly what they need to make the ketosis work, because ketosis isn't a diet. It's a state of the body. And I have been thrilled to have found it. And I'm thrilled with what it's done for me and my energy. There's no way a couple years ago I could be sitting here at this time of night and have any energy to do a Q&A like this. But I have plenty of energy, so don't worry.
So before we go into the first question from one of the participants, could you just highlight again the difference between burning glucose for fuel and ketones for fuel.
Yes, this is what a state of ketosis is. A state of ketosis is taking ketones, which are fats. When we eat fats, they are stored in the liver. And if our body needs that fuel because we've not eaten a bunch of sugar, the liver will break those fats down into what are called ketones. And ketones are what your mitochondria will burn for fuel instead of the sugar. Sugar is what most of us are burning most of the time because we have shifted our cultural habits into eating things that are primarily full of sugar. And that includes a lot of things like starchy vegetables, like your potatoes, your grains. They come in so much now into our diet, and they didn't used to. So a molecule of glucose coming into the little mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, but it's also the director of just about every function in your body. One molecule of glucose coming in there and being burned will produce a quarter of what one molecule of a fat or a ketone will produce. So when you flip your switch and get yourself into burning your fats instead of burning your sugars, you are automatically giving yourself 4 times the amount of energy you had out of every single mitochondria. It's pretty powerful. It's actually really powerful. And it needs to be done in a specific way so that that doesn't overpower you as you're getting into it.
All right, so let's launch right into the first question from Fidelma. Let's see. So what are the potential consequences for how we can support our gallbladder and liver with a high-fat diet? Obviously, that's what we need to use when we're going into ketosis. They mentioned bitters, obviously, but please let us know more.
Yes, bitter herbs are awesome. I love milk thistle. I love burdock root. I love I love gentian. I love blue vervain. They all can be extremely helpful in this. But I also love apple cider vinegar. If you have any issues with your gallbladder, I would take some time before you try and flip your switch. Well, everybody should take some time before they try and flip their switch to get themselves ready. But if you know that liver gallbladder is an issue for you, start taking a daily dose. Are also incredibly awesome for your gallbladder and for your liver. So those are things that are.
Kerry, you broke up actually when you actually said what to take.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I would take apple cider vinegar every day. You can add a little bit to your water, like a half a teaspoon or up to a teaspoon, depending on how much water you're putting it in. You wouldn't want to take that straight. That can be a little intense, or using it in dressings, etc. But apple cider vinegar every day, and also a red beet every day. Or if red beets aren't your thing, you could take a supplement. John Douillard at Life Spa has one called Beet Cleanse, which is beets in a capsule, basically. And I will give that to my clients who do not like beets, but really
What about the carbs in beets? Is that an issue?
Carbs in beets are an issue, but if you're preparing yourself to get into ketosis, if you have a gallbladder issue, that you are trying to heal, I would suggest you do this for a while before you go into ketosis. You know, do 2 weeks where you're eating a red beet every day. Or you can take the capsules, which don't have as many carbs, but have a lot of the constituents of red beets that can help you, and the apple cider vinegar. Some people do it with just apple cider vinegar and it's fine. But if you have a real issue with gallbladder and a lot of sludge there, or you have some stones, the apple cider vinegar and the red beets together are an awesome double team that will take care of that and help that flush out. For some people, it'll take longer than others, but you will start noticing a difference. You will start feeling better, not so sluggish as you go along and do that. And yes, red beets do have a lot of sugar, so they're not going to come into your diet as you're trying to flip your switch into ketosis. They would come in later when you've gotten into ketosis easily, and you can flex back and forth between glycolysis and ketosis, and you want to eat some beets on your refeed. Or I'll just grate a little even now. When I'm not refeeding, I'll put some on my salad sometimes, or I'll eat half of one. And because I'm metabolically flexible now, it won't knock me out of ketosis.
Deborah says, I'm curious about how safe ketosis is for someone with mild atherosclerosis. Thinking about arteries and the long-term effects of eating such high-fat foods.
That is a very good question. Eating in a ketogenic way can really help reverse your atherosclerosis. It needs to be done correctly, though, and you need to be really honest about how you're eating and making sure you're getting yourself into ketosis and keeping yourself there and keeping yourself hydrated. Hydration is absolutely important for this, because when you get into ketosis, you will start clearing out your plaques. You will start clearing out the issues that are building up in your arteries. So it is safe. You just need to make sure you're not cheating and putting a bunch of carbs in there when you're eating a whole lot of fat at the same time, because that is when fats can become detrimental. But it's not the fats that are detrimental, it's the carbs and then the fats trying to that are getting stored because of eating the carbs. Because remember, carbs hydrate. Carbs are storing. They're always going to try and put things away and keep the fat from burning. And the carbs are what will turn into triglycerides in your blood when there's nowhere else for them to go. When your fat molecules all say, nope, too much in here, we're not accepting any more insulin to bring any more sugar in. That's when in the blood you will start building up your triglycerides, which will start you down a intense path of cardiovascular issues.
Shirley asks, how do you supplement the sunshine need when you live in the Northern Hemisphere during the winter in a way that supports ketosis?
That is a good question. And it's hard. It's really hard to get the sunshine you need, but you can do it. You can do it by realizing that we need all the light, and the morning light and the evening light as the sun's coming up and the sun are going down are absolutely key to this. No matter if it's the sun coming up at 7:15 in the dead of winter, or it's the sun coming up at 5:30 in the summer, we still need that first morning light that comes over, and as it breaks up through our atmosphere, it's the red light that we get first. These messages are absolutely important for our brains, for our mitochondria. We have the most mitochondria in our brain. We need that code. So you can still get out there, even if it's 20 degrees and you're freezing. Walk outside, Get the light in your eyes. Get the light in your eyes without contacts on, without glasses on, not through a window. If you have to be driving to work at that time, open your window. The photons will come in, but get yourself in the sun. Then during the day, even though the sun isn't up at a high enough angle to give you the vitamin D, it still is important to get all that light. In fact, my daughter and I were outside just 2 days ago. I think it was a balmy 21 degrees. And she had her shirt completely off. I just was lifting up so I could get the red light on my belly. The more you can get the light on your skin, even when it's really, really cold, the better off you're going to be. I promise you. I know that's not real fun, but it can be. You can make it fun. You can make it an adventure. I can't hear you, Karis.
Oh, sorry. I cleared my throat, so I put my mute on. Michelle says, I'm concerned about high cholesterol. We're bringing it back to cholesterol and fat again. How to sift through all the info out there to make a path for myself.
Okay. When you go into ketosis, more than likely, your LDL cholesterol will rise. Your HDL cholesterol will rise even higher. HDL is what we call good cholesterol. LDL is what we call bad cholesterol, but it is only the heart association that has labeled them those. The neurologists go crazy with that kind of talk because they know that the fats are so important. Your LDL cholesterol is absolutely vital to your body. It is what your cell membranes are mostly made up of. It is a huge component of what your brain and nerves are made up of. All your dendrites are covered with cholesterol, and you need it. The levels of safe cholesterol keep going down and down and down, and they keep selling more and more drugs. You will have a change in your cholesterol. And for most people, that LDL will go up, but then it starts to come back down again after a while. But the gap between the LDL and the HDL will widen, and that is healthy. And your triglycerides will go down. They will go down. Your LDL cholesterol, you can help it lower when we get the sun back in this northern climate. Those of you who are further south can work on your LDL cholesterol even now by getting out in the sun and letting as much of your skin be exposed when you're in ketosis, because then you will not burn as much. That LDL cholesterol will be in your skin, and it is the sun hitting the skin that turns that LDL cholesterol into vitamin D, the vitamin D from the sun, which acts as a hormone in your body, not just a vitamin, and is absolutely vital. The more sun you get when the vitamin D window is open, the more healthy you're going to be. So it's really important. I know some of you are starting into this journey in the dead of winter, and that can be kind of hard, but you'll find that it gets so much easier as the vitamin D window opens and you can get yourself out into the sun, exposed as much as possible.
Cindy wants to know if keto is beneficial for diabetics, and I'm just assuming Cindy's referring to type 2 diabetes.
Type 2 diabetes, absolutely. Please make sure, if you are type 2 diabetic, that you are working closely with your doctor. If you're type 1 diabetic, there are people who have benefited from it as well, but you have to be really closely monitored with your doctor, because the type 1 diabetes you can run into some really dangerous checking it. Let's get to. However, type 2 diabetes has been totally reversed with when it's done right, when it's done correctly, when you are following the steps and really taking care of yourself.
Is there a best exercise to support ketosis? Aerobic, weight bearing, or some sort of combo?
I like a combo, but everybody's different. And some people, when you're coming into ketosis, because you are having a lot of issues and are very inflamed, some people exercise that's strenuous is too much and will cause more inflammation. So you need to be absolutely honest with where you are. And as you heal, the more exercise you'll be able to do. As you heal, the more you'll be able to put in HIIT, which I think is an awesome form of exercise for ketosis. That's high intensity interval training where you get your heart rate up and then you have a little bit of a break. So your heart rate doesn't come all the way down, but it does recover some, and then it goes back up again. And then you let it come down. And there's all kinds of programs out there online that you can look at, things on YouTube. You can find HIIT that's low impact, HIIT this, HIIT that. But sometimes if I'm really busy, but I know I need to work on this, I'll run up and down my stairs like 5 times. And then I'll walk around my kitchen island, and then I'll come back and run up and down my stairs 5 times again, and I'll walk around my kitchen island. And I find that works really well. But it doesn't work on days if I'm feeling extremely inflamed. That can actually make me feel worse. So bottom line is everybody's different. Some people need to start with something very gentle, like yoga, a gentle yoga. Not all yogas are gentle, but make sure that it's something that you are, when you're finished, maybe not necessarily when you're going through it, but when you're finished, you feel good. You feel like it worked. You feel like you're energized and not just absolutely fatigued or in a lot more pain than when you started.
Here's a good question. Kim's bringing it back to beets, but maybe we could just say many carbs or many types of carbs. If you're in ketosis and you're eating beets, but you're staying in your 5% carbs that you're allotted, is that okay? And is it actually beneficial?
That's okay. You absolutely can. If you can keep
You
it,
can eat carbs, any healthy carbs that you want.
eat whatever you want. It's just finding out where your level is that's going to keep you in ketosis and not knock you down into glycolysis.
Right. And you want to eat clean. You don't want to poison yourself with
Right. I wouldn't.
Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, Sour Patch Kids and Reese peanut butter cups aren't necessarily going to be the diet you want to go for.
But even then, you could only eat so little. It's probably not a huge impact if you really, really need your fix.
You really, really need your fix. Just know that you probably aren't going to eat that much more the rest of that day, except some things that don't have carbs, like cream or cheese or some meat. So yes. Anything.
All right, so Michelle has a question, but I think we'll probably have to follow up rather than have you search and put this in the chat. But she is looking for some sources that show that ketosis clears arteriosclerosis. Lots of people say this, but where do I find the source? She wants to see the paper, the document. So
yes,
we can post that in the community. That would be a good place to put it, is in the community, and we'll follow up with an email to the group with that.
Yes.
Okay, here's a good question. As an herbalist, a natural oriented person, I'm suspicious of fake sugars. Can you talk about erythritol and the other sweeteners that keto diets use and their impact on blood glucose, microbiome, gut health?
Yes. Erythritol is actually a sugar that is found in nature. It's just easily synthesized as well. So most of the erythritol you get that's added or that's sold by itself is something that is not chemically, but put together as a sweetener, and it is called an alcohol sugar, but it's not really an alcohol and it's not really a sugar. It has sort of elements of both. They move very easily through the body without impacting blood sugar for most people. For me, I can't eat a lot of those things without it impacting my blood sugar, I found. For some people, the erythritol is really hard on their gut. For some people, they feel good on it. It's not a one size fits all. The two sugars that are out there that are used a lot that are plant-based, that are also like alcohol sugars, they have the same sort of chemical makeup, are monk fruit and stevia. I love my stevia plant in the summer. I use those leaves to sweeten my tea and sweeten all kinds of things. And I seem to do really well with that. I can't tolerate a whole lot of stevia or a whole lot of monk fruit. Monk fruit I find is harder on my system even than erythritol is. Erythritol has been shown to be very beneficial for some people with autoimmunity, particularly lupus. I don't know that I found a huge amount of benefit from it, but it can, it just sort of depends on the person. For some people, it causes diarrhea. And I think part of that is having the gut biome learning how to take in this molecule and understand what to do with it. So much of what we're doing when we're changing what we're eating is training our gut biome, and that's where we often run into issues of constipation or diarrhea for a spell of time until our bodies are sort of trained to handle it. You're going to have to figure out if you can handle it, if you can sort of train the body to be able to tolerate these things, and if it's worth it. Again, if you're not flipping your switch back into glycolysis and you find you can use a little bit of honey or a little bit of maple syrup, or you need, in order to sweeten something, by all means, go ahead and do that.
Tracy adds in type 1 diabetes and alcohol sugars definitely affect her blood sugar, and tracking it she thinks is a great idea. And you were noticing that for you, that it was elevating your blood sugar for a period of time. We were working together on this and it wasn't affecting my blood sugar.
Right.
So people can be different in how they metabolize it, and it is, you do want to tweak the program according to what's working and not working for you. Could you say a little more about how proteins can convert into carbohydrates?
Yes, this is some information that is out there. There are a lot of people who claim that proteins, when you get too much protein, those proteins will start being converted into sugar and used as sugar and can throw people out of ketosis. I haven't found a specific article or study that confirms that for sure, but from anecdotal evidence, it seems like for some people that is true. So a lot of people think that eating ketosis is eating all the meat you want. Like you just have free reign to eat bacon at every meal. But that's not necessarily true at all. This is not carnivore. This is flipping a switch to get you into ketosis. And it's going to be different for everybody. My protein needs are really high. I found that out kicking and screaming because I was practically vegan for almost 13 years and had all the reasons why to be vegan down pat. I was very dogmatic and probably awful to be around about it. I don't know. But I realized that I had to change that in order to survive, in order to thrive. I need a certain amount of protein, and it might be more than what other people do. Protein are really important building blocks, and they are really important for kicking the liver into phase 2 detoxification. And some people need those building blocks more because they don't utilize them as easily. So again, it's not a one size fit all. I can't tell you eat X amount of meat, because X amount of meat for you might mean, oh, I'm getting kicked out of ketosis because it's too much for me, and I'm getting my switch flipped back into glycolysis. But some people need more. So
If you're exercising vigorously, should you add more carbs?
you can. The more you exercise, depending, well, again, it all depends. If you are carrying a lot of extra weight because so many toxins have gotten stored, and that's how your body deals with it, then you might not be able to eat a lot of extra carbs, even if you're exercising vigorously. But if you are pretty much close to your ideal weight and are athletic and exercising hard, you will be able to raise that carb limit. And if you're a guy, you probably will be able to have a higher carb limit than the women. So it's just the way they use it. Yeah, no, it figures.
All right. So Kim's been working for the past 7 days in converting into ketosis. She's wondering, how many days do you need to be in ketosis until you can start being flexible? She also says her sleep has been great and her energy levels way better, but she's getting some stomach pain that's really disabling her because she's not saying why. She's wondering if it's because of the fats. She hasn't started testing her ketones yet.
Okay, it could be because of the fats. It could be because maybe your water isn't quite right yet. If you haven't been doing your electrolytes and your 100 ounces of water every day, that can often cause some bloating and some stomach pain. Just getting your body to switch to eating this way. I don't recommend going full tilt into this and switching over to a ketosis type way of eating within a week if you've had previous gut issues, et cetera, because it can be kind of tough, but you'll get through it. I mean, I didn't take that advice. When I started finding out about this, I just sort of couldn't eat the carbs all of a sudden because of everything I was finding out. And I was in ketosis within a couple of days, and I had my gut feeling kind of uncomfortable and bloated and achy, and I got constipated because my whole microbiome was changing, and the stomach acid of my stomach was having to change because I was changing pretty quickly and dramatically what I was putting in there, and it needs time to catch up, but it will catch up. And if it's not, you can talk to me. You can get an appointment with me, and we can figure out, is there a couple things you need to tweak or a couple supplements you need in order to get what's right for you to help iron all that out.
I'm a big fan of working into it gradually. I mean, I was thinking about converting into eating this way and just kind of gradually adopting some of the habits. And then Kerry tested my blood, and it turns out I was in ketosis without I even realizing, I didn't even follow all the rules. I just was eating in general low carb and higher fat. And that worked really nicely for me.
Yeah.
Fadama says, I always prefer whole food versus supplements. Do you have any opinions on store-bought MCT oil, refined MCT oil versus whole foods that have MCT in them, like coconut milk?
Yeah, I am a big fan of coconut milk. I use it a lot, almost every day. The MCT oil I find can be really useful for people for helping jumpstart their ketosis and getting them into it. Also, it also can be really hard on some people. Like my daughter won't touch it now because she was listening to all these people who use MCT oil and are, squirting it in their mouth or putting it in their drinks and taking all these high amounts. So she was kind of trying to follow suit, and it made her so sick that she couldn't handle it. And I found I started using it and I was using too much, and it was not doing me any favors. My sick was different. Hers hit her gut. She's celiac, so she has a very sensitive gut. Mine was more, I'm not sure if it was lungs or the cardiovascular system, but I would find I got very short of breath and a lot of pain. And I just realized, oh, I don't need all this. I'm just going to use the coconut. And I did much better. I will sometimes, if I know I have a busy morning and I'm not getting time between my early morning yoga class and going to teach my English class, I will put a little MCT in my drink that I'm putting a lot of fats in, and it helps me, but I never do more than half a teaspoon.
Yeah, I'll throw my 2 cents in there as, from the brain perspective. We turn to MCT oil. It's a source of medium chain triglycerides, which coconut milk is too, but it's refined for the shorter of the medium chain triglycerides, or at least depends on the product you get, but the more expensive products are selecting out the shorter chain fatty acids, which are still qualified as medium chain, but we're getting to the shorter end of it. And coconut milk is a large percent the longer medium chain. And the benefit of that for your brain is if you're dealing with brain fog, particularly because you're insulin resistant or having some blood sugar issues, then using that MCT oil, at least for a period of time, can be really helpful for giving your brain some fuel, clearing up your brain fog.
Yes.
So, it isn't ideal perhaps, but many people, I've seen lots of people who are borderline type 2 diabetes do really well with it while they're changing their diet. John wants to know if the keto diet is safe with stage 4 chronic kidney disease.
I would work with your doctor for sure.
Yeah.
That I would definitely not go into this without working with your doctor on that. Stage 4 chronic kidney disease is no joke, and dramatically shifting your body like that it can be really hard on your kidneys if you have an issue like that. So yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for a tool for checking your ketones and your blood glucose, urine test versus blood test versus going by subjective symptoms?
Yes, a urine test is great when you're just beginning and you want to know if you are getting into ketosis, because a urine test is inexpensive. You can get a big pack of strips for not very much money, and they work well. They don't give you an exact reading, but they give you a color, and you'll know that the darker the color, the higher the ketones. They won't always work. You'll have to eventually switch to a blood meter test, because you will, once you've been in ketosis long enough, you will stop throwing so many ketones into your urine, or stop throwing them at all into your urine. So you'll need to switch at some point to a blood meter test. I like Keto Sense. I find it the most accurate one so far that I found. And it's also the most economical in terms of the strips. Some people like to use the Keto Mojo, which will also do your blood sugar. It takes another strip to do your blood sugar, but you can use the same meter for both. I find that when I want to do my blood sugar, I just use a little CVS monitor. They are very economical, especially if you sign up for their little club. I almost get all my strips for free with the coupons I get and with the discount they give you for using their blood strips. So that's how I go. But you might find something like better.
So we're rolling out your new program that's where BotanicWise is hosting, Ketosis Jumpstart Radical Healing, named because that's exactly what it's done for you and me. I was wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit about the program, what's included in the program, what you're covering in the, it's a self-paced program with a bonus of live meetups such as this one, where we can have Q&A and support within the BotanicWise community, within the private group, where you can get personal and confidential support in the group setting. So do you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to cover in the program?
Yes, I just take a deeper dive into all things ketosis. The first class is a whole class on how to prepare, how to get yourself really ready so that, like Karis, she didn't even realize she had shifted into ketosis, other than that she might have been feeling a little more energy and a little less inflammation, but she didn't have huge keto flu, which is what the gut issues or headache or just some different symptoms that can happen because all of a sudden your body is releasing what is in the fat, because it's starting to burn what is in the fat and burn the fat, which are your storehouses. That transition becomes much easier. So I start there. I talk about the light and the whole light piece and how important that is. We talk about exercise. We talk about foods that work for the keto diet. We talk about the different apps you can use to help you keep track of what you need to know, and keep track of where you are. We talk about the bigger picture as to why this is so important, not just to you, but to the whole entire world. And yeah, we call it the complete program because it just gives you that big overview and a step-by-step in how to get there and how to stay there and be successful with it, and how to fast and refeed that too. The fasting and refeed where you really are hitting those deep levels of autophagy, where your body is actually producing new stem cells to replace damaged ones. You're replacing cells in your brain, you're replacing cells in your heart, you're replacing cells in your skin. So you're actually beginning to look and feel younger, because age is just the number of times around the sun, but it really has nothing to do with you, how you feel and how much energy you have, and how much ATP you're producing is really about what your age is. So this is a way for you to be able to step into life and live it fully without all the inflammation.
And who doesn't want support and community when they're trying something new like this? It's much more fun together.
And it works so much better together.
Yeah.
Works so much better together. That's why I run all my cleanses together, where people will come and do 2 weeks of yoga starting January 2nd, every day for 2 weeks, and everybody has their own diet plan that we work with together, because it works together. You're coming together with these people every day, either by Zoom or in person. I can't tell you the difference it makes when you join a community like that. So having BotanicWise to come together and talk about things and have questions answered and like share your experiences is very powerful.
So we do have a coupon for everybody who's watching this that is valid through Sunday. There, Abby, thank you with your awesome pointer. um, Save $50. That will bring it the price of the course, the program, to under $100. So hopefully that's helpful to folks who want to participate and are ready to jump in. The first class will be downloaded. If there's not too much snow tomorrow, it'll be ready tomorrow. It's about, Deborah's asking how long is the course. It's about 6 hours plus guides, PDFs, and
It's not
then
that long. It's probably not that long. It was that long before we took out all the we edited it, but it's more like 4 hours. So.
Okay, so it's very doable. And the first community meetup live with Kerry at the helm will be on January 5th. So you can start your new year with some support from her and the group that will be in it together. So does anybody have any other questions before we close out for the evening? I get my chat back up. Seems like, I'm guessing that all of the questions have been answered. So yeah, thank you, Deborah. Thank you. Thumbs up to everyone for your great questions. It's been I learned more information about it. I'm still learning about it, and grateful to you, Kerry, for the work that you've been investing in learning so much about this to share with us. And thank you all for joining me for yet another time together this evening. If it's your evening, your time, I always love to see you.
Mm-hmm.